Alright, what we got today is a little weird problem with the Expedition, and going to be looking to see if we can find it. It's not throwing any codes, and what it's doing is when it's warmed up in park, if you put it into drive, the engine will just get dragged down and quit. If you rev the gas up a little bit, it will work and kind of stay idling, but then if you come to a stop after that, it'll get dragged down and quit again. So I thought it might be the idle air control. Wasn't throwing any codes for it. Just seemed like I had the right voltage on it, which is up under here. So I got another one and checked it. No difference. Went and grabbed the one off my junk truck. Same thing. Both the new one and the one off the junk truck were a little bit easier, better controlling than the original one, which is this thing. And so I left the one from the junk truck on and returned the $116 one to AutoZone. But I did some digging around, and apparently there's a solenoid on the valve body and the transmission right here, which is related to the torque converter clutch lockup. And this is the old Chinesium Duralast part number, TKS15. And it fits most of them up through about 2003, I think, up these 4R70s transmissions. And so that can potentially go bad, or start going bad, and then cause the torque converter to not be fully released a little bit, and it over drags when it goes into gear, and it snuffs out the engine and overruns the ability of the idle air control to actually keep the throttle up. So again, I don't have any codes, don't have any real direction to go on. I have never done a transmission service on this thing since we got it, and judging by the fluid, I probably should have. But the pan looks good. Yeah, the oil's dark, doesn't smell bad. A little bit of superfine fuzz on the magnet, but no chunks at all. So I think we're going to be in pretty good shape there. The only oddity, and I don't know what the hell this is, this thing, which looks like a plunger with an O-ring on it of some sort, was just sitting in the bottom of the pan. I have no idea what that is, unless it was maybe part of an anti-drainback valve in the filter, which I haven't pulled out from under the car yet. I don't know, but it was sitting in the little deepest part of the sump here, right like that. So yeah, I don't know what that is. Apparently I don't need it, because I never knew anything was wrong with the transmission. But let's sneak under here, and we're going to take a look at what we've got now that I have drained her all. Okay. So, the solenoid we need to replace is this one. That's the torque converter clutch control solenoid. These two are two of the shift solenoids, and this black plastic thing is the wiring harness. It goes all the way across over to there, and it kind of scares me because I don't want to break it and I don't really know how to take it apart. So I'm going to go do some digging and looking to see if I can figure out how to pop that wiring harness off of there, because then it's just a couple of 8mm and some 10mm bolts. Pop this out, pop the new one in, put the filter back on it, and go. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, well, that wasn't too bad. That's the harness. I was able to just go in there with a little screwdriver and just barely pry up around all these little connections. Super gently, and it popped off. But yeah, that is the connection. You can see there's even a little resistor in there doing something. Now they still make these that I see online, so if you break it you can get a new one, but I'd suggest not breaking it, because who knows. But yeah, it just pops off. There didn't seem to be any squeezy tabs. It came off pretty easy. No real force. If you're gonna feel like you gotta force it, stop. Yeah, see, there's kind of a little clip mechanism here that just kind of springs. And yeah, a little bit on each one of them. There's kind of a little bit of a clip mechanism here, but there's no squeeze to it. It just pops in there and it's just made to pop off. So it's just enough to hold it in. So that wasn't too bad. So now we're going to get in there and see what we need to do to get the rest of those stupid solenoids out of there. Alright, so under here, like I said, this is the solenoid we're going for. You got a 10 millimeter here that I've already cracked these loose. 10 millimeter there, a little 8 millimeter here. Let's see, make sure this bad boy's focusing. That's not really the right way to do it. But an 8 millimeter here, and then behind here you got another 8 millimeter. So I'm gonna attempt to take those out. Let's see if they're Ford Specials and a mile long. My luck, they are. And the reason you have to do this to get both of these out is because the hold down for the solenoid you need, it's actually captured by the other shift solenoids. So that's kind of handy. Oh yeah, these are long bolts because they go up through the valve body and actually clamp the valve body in place. Okay, that's one. And then there's the other one back here. Guess I could have zipped these out with the old electric gun, but okay, now that other one is the 10, because why would we use the same size fastener? That would make sense, so we don't want to do that. Well, that one's not too long, that's nice. And now we should be able to, let's see if I can get this. Yep, that just pulls out. That guy just pulls out. New guy goes back in. There it is. These guys go back in. Now you put the bolts back in. That's it. And yeah, I would say, I don't know the torque spec on these, but I would think it's not a whole hell of a lot. Maybe, I'd guess 10 or 15 inch-pounds is probably it. I may check just for grins, but it ain't gonna be too tight because these are pretty small. So, all right, once you do that, then we will get back in here and try to attach the wiring harness once you snug those up. Back in a minute. All right, so now I'm going to try to put this thing back on. You've got a plug here, 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 and way over there. So, see if we can get it in there. That's it. That's it. And now they're all wired up. And so if we want, we can start doing the filter. But the first thing I'm going to try to do is, I've been told that there is a torque converter drain over here. Right, yeah. So I'm going to take a look, see if I can spin the engine over, maybe find that torque converter drain, and drain the fluid out of it, because this fluid's pretty gunky, and the more I can get out is going to be the better longer term. So we're going to try that now. All right, well, I just spun that engine over tooth by tooth twice, took all the inspection covers off that I could see. I do not see any evidence of a torque converter drain. There's no bolt, there's no hole, everything is smooth. I see the flex plate bolts and studs and stuff, and they all look good. I don't have any oil leaking from the rear main, which is really nice, so that was a good little check. So, I guess now we're going to take a look at this, see if I can figure out where I put it, but where that little doodad might have gone, if it's important. There it is, where this guy went. And go from there. Alright, so I'm not sure what did it. Once I got everything in there, got what new fluid I could put in it. It wasn't perfect right off the bat. It didn't immediately start working well. But I just took it on about a 5-mile drive, did a bunch of stop and goes, did a bunch of park neutral reverse, whatever, because there was no traffic. And now, instead of before, it was very lurchy and acting like the converter was super tight, like it is on my diesel. You really had to hold brake to get the thing to not move when you put it in gear. It didn't hammer, but it was really tight. And now seems to be doing pretty damn well. So since I couldn't find a torque converter drain, what I think I'm probably going to do, get another one of those gaskets and a filter, and I got plenty of fluid left. And maybe in a month, if it doesn't act up, I will flush that system one more time, put another gasket and filter on it, and call it good. So, that's something interesting. If all of a sudden your Ford starts quitting when you put it in drive, or just kind of stalls when you come to a stop, if you haven't serviced the transmission in a while, it might be worth looking at that. Especially if you throw the parts cannon at it and the idle air control doesn't make any difference. So, anyway, I don't know. I know this wasn't a great video, and I wasn't really feeling it today, but I think we got it fixed anyway. So, hope you all are having a happy new year. We'll talk to you all later. Take care.